right, welcome back to Bayou Time. Martin Falls here. We do have the parish president of Lafourche Parish by telephone. Mr. Archie Chaisson is going to join us in a second. We also have Mr. Chuck Bork, who's a local attorney here in Terrebonne Parish. He's been a helicopter pilot for over 25 years, serving in our military. Very familiar. He's litigated helicopter crashes before. He's not involved with this crash at this time, for all transparency. I want to start off with the parish president of Lafourche, Mr. Archie Chaisson. Archie, last we heard you at the press conference on Friday. Can you give us updates from that Friday newscast?
Yeah, so Martin, we were able to locate the aircraft about 2:30 Friday afternoon. There were no apparent survivors. A lot of the aircraft was buried in the marsh and in the mud. We regrouped Saturday morning. The local NTSB group showed up with their salvage contractor. About 4 o'clock Saturday afternoon, we actually made it to the site with marsh buggies and some equipment to start pulling material in the helicopter out of the marsh. We were able to pull some of it out Saturday night before it got too dark, where we were having a hard time seeing what we were doing. Regrouped very early Sunday morning and went back out. We were able to recover the tail rotor of the aircraft, which was mostly intact, the main rotor and the engine, as well as kind of part of the fuselage of the aircraft. It was a bit of an operation to try to get it back up out of the mud. It was very deep in there. Most of that is going to be transported in today and turned over to T.W. Cook, who was the salvage company that NTSB brought in. He's going to try to piece that aircraft back together in his warehouse. And the NTSB will then take over the investigation and, to our knowledge, figure out, or at least try to figure out what exactly happened with the aircraft, with those major parts that they found. We were able to recover the pilot and the passenger in the aircraft. The pilot was a young man named Dylan Horn, who was a U.S. Army veteran and became a pilot after that. We were able to talk to his family. His family made it out to the site Saturday afternoon and then spent some time with us yesterday as well. It was great to be able to talk to him and offer our condolences, let them talk about their son and tell us a little bit about him. But from here on out, it becomes an NTSB investigation, and we'll fully cooperate with them as much as we can along. I know with Sheriff Weber and his crew, we're a part of this as well, and the salvage company, to see if they can ultimately figure out what exactly happened.
And I know this is not a normal thing that parish presidents do, and you were so involved with this from the time of the crash until now. Any kind of information that you're getting of maybe the cause? I know we're going to talk to Chuck, who's pretty experienced, and I was shocked to hear that Dylan Horn was a U.S. Army veteran. Chuck's also a veteran too, flying helicopters. Any cause at this point?
No, not really, Martin. It was hard to tell from what we were able to pull up. The NTSB didn't want to make any preliminary findings as well. We do know from kind of the ping of the aircraft with the equipment that was on board. The last kind of notification they had, their altitude was about 600 feet, and then they lost all contact with it. So at this point, it's hard to tell what exactly caused the issue. I mean, it was a pretty day on Friday. There wasn't a whole lot going on in that particular area where the crash happened. It's not like we saw with the helicopter crash on the Twin Spans a few months ago. There were no power lines or anything around there. The crash happened about 2.5 miles, 3 miles southwest of the new Grand Bayou Reggie Bagala floodgate in that kind of impoundment area of the Pointe-aux-Trembles Reserve. So not wanting to speculate either. We're going to let the NTSB handle that and try to figure out exactly what happened.
You did say with a couple of minutes left that you talked with the family of the young pilot, Dylan Horn, and just as maybe something to pay tribute to the young man who served us well in the U.S. Army, I'm sure they had a lot of good things to say about their son.
They did. They talked about his service. They talked about how he was a fan of all things Star Wars, and we were actually able to bring his father and his stepmother out to the crash site yesterday afternoon. They wanted to visit the site, so we were able to accommodate that, and they brought a Star Wars blanket out there and an American flag and some flowers and paid tribute to him. And I think that as a group collectively, we're going to figure out some way to put a lasting tribute out there to him because of his military service. And also the passenger. I don't have the passenger's name offhand, I don't think they ever, I caught it during any of the conversations they had, but he worked for a crane company that was coming in from offshore, and the helicopter had stopped in Venice, and they were en route from Venice to Patterson. So I'm assuming he's a local guy from somewhere out of the Broussard-Lafayette area. The sheriff's office spoke to part of his family, but none of the passengers' family made it to the site, so we weren't able to connect with them. But the pilot's family was super appreciative and thanked the sheriff's office and everybody involved for all that we were doing to try to help bring them some sense of closure because of the crash.
You know, that's certainly, y'all need to be commended for thinking of the family. I know that a lot of people in this area have a special place in their heart, not only for young men, but certainly for military young men and women who place their lives on the line all the time, and it's tragic that this young man succumbed to a helicopter crash, but I do agree with you. That would be a great place to put some type of remembrance, and I commend y'all for doing that, and I'm sure the family was really touched by that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I also want to give a quick thank you very quickly to Reggie Dupree from the Levee District. He was able to kind of find a closer site to the crash that we could use to launch in and out of. And he was inside of what we commonly refer to as Reach L of the levee system of Marganza. So we were able to use some of the equipment and stuff that was staged out there. So Reggie always comes in handy, but this helped us out as well.
All right. Mr. Archie Chaisson, I appreciate you joining us. We'll be in touch on other things. Thank you for joining us and giving us an update.
Thank you, Martin.
All right. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk more about this with Chuck Bork, who's been experienced in this realm for over 25 years. Don't go away.